All right, so in case you were absent when we were doing corrections, or if you want to study for a test, we're going to go over the Chapter 9 quiz. So this is going to call it corrections, if you would like to call it that. If you want to look at yours and see how it compares, that's what you might want to do. So graph the equation of the line y is greater than 3x minus 4. So it's asking you to graph it. And if you remember, usually when we have a line, we have it in y equals mx plus b form. You might be saying, Miss Young, I have no idea what that means. So we said m is equal to the change in y over the change in x. I hope that looks familiar. This is meaning how much it's changing or how much it's growing by in the y divided by how much it's growing by in the x. It's a rate. It's how much it's changing. So m is the change or the growth. And then b, we call it the starting point. We can also call it the y-intercept. Essentially what it is when you plug in 0 or when you have figure 0, what number comes out? So we're going to go over what that looks like. So m, we are given m. m is 3, so m is equal to 3. But that's not a fraction, it's not over anything, which is fixed simply enough. You can say 3 over 1. 3 divided by 1 is the same thing as 3, or you can just think 3 over 1 is 3. So what do we do now? Where do I start? I'm going 3, 1? I'm not really sure. So you can't do it from just the slope alone. You have to look at the intercept. What this means is when you plug in 0, what do you get out? It's pretty obvious. It's this second number, and I'll show you. If y is equal to 3 times, we're going to plug in 0 because it's on, remember this line is the y-axis. It's also x equals 0. So if we're plugging in x equals 0, and we're having this equation y equals 3x minus 4, this is y equals 3 times what x would be, which is 0 minus 4. So y equals 3 times 0 is 0, negative 4. So we had x equals 0 go in, and then what came out was our y equals negative 4. So that's our starting point. Our starting point is at 0, negative 4, and it's growing by a change of 1 in the x direction. So if this is change in y over change in x, it's changing in 1 in the x direction, and that means in the direction of the x-axis. So it's changing 1 in this direction, and then it's changing 3 in the y direction, and the y-axis is in this direction. So there's another point, and you can keep going. It's changing 1, and then it's changing 3 in the y direction. So it's changing 3 for every 1 time it's going over. Kind of helps me figure out what my line looks like. And I did this a little too hastily because we still have something else to deal with. It's not an equal sign. This is a greater than sign. Am I still in the picture? Yeah. So y is greater than. This is the greater than symbol. Okay. And y is less than. This is the less than symbol. Do you see how y is on the bigger side? It's on the bigger side. These are farther apart. And this is y being on the smaller side of that symbol. Hopefully you can see that. So greater than. Greater than means up or down. What do you think it means? Yeah, greater than means up. So up from there. You think of your line, and then, I don't know if you can see this, you're going up from these points, going up. My lines are getting less precise. The line keeps going, so you're going up from that line. It means it's this whole shaded part right here. But is it equal to? Is your second question. You have to ask yourself, is it equal to? This symbol just means it's greater than, so it's not equal to, and you want to do a dashed line. You don't want to do a solid line. I'm using pen so that you could see it better on the camera, but if you had a pencil, you could erase it until it was a dashed line. Or you could just be smart and do it from the start, but Miss Young does not have enough foresight for that. All right, so this is the solution to number 1, and it comes from the starting point, this point right here, It's the y-intercept. That -4 comes from this number. The b comes from right here. Okay? And then the growth, the m, how much it's changing this way and then growing that way, comes from right there. Okay? That's where it comes from. And that's how you graph a line.